welcome Julie Delk, which is Russell Delk's wife, to Dansby Family Wellness Show, podcast. I don't know what to call it. I'm just learning. But I really want to get you on here because of your history with Russell and your health history, and I kind of met you in a health setting of Spike's CrossFit in Ellisville. And we're in an open setting, so we're going to have some great ambient noise. But back into that, but I learned about you through Russell and saw you working out, and, I saw the transition from, just a gym member to you and Russell, dating, and I know y'all kind of met at the old one, so y'all were already dating whenever I met you.
Right, yeah, we were just friends, and then it transitioned into more. Yeah.
And I was really impressed with you and Russell and the way y'all, the dynamic of that, and I'm always really impressed with people that get into a stepson or stepdaughter situation. I think that is honorable, and I know that's complimenting Russell, but that's really difficult for anybody.
Oh yeah.
And it's really amazing when I see someone get into that and get to that point where they make it work and they, pour into somebody. But just tell us more about you. Tell us from birth to now, and like your health struggles, or maybe victories that you've had, and anything with birth. And I'm really interested in the birth and postpartum, and what let people understand that, because I've got a big struggle with it from my own birth and my own health crisis, but also from my wife, and we got young children. You have a son that's quite a bit older than our children, and I get to know him through church, and it's really unique. And so just let us know your history.
Okay, well, growing up, I was always the chubbier kid growing up, and I didn't really have a problem. I didn't see that, or didn't have a problem with it until I got out of high school, I guess. And when I was in college, the whole freshman 15 thing, I put on more than 15 pounds, and I was just tired of it. So I did the whole Weight Watchers thing for a little while, and it worked when I was doing it, and then I stopped. And I put the weight back on, decided to try going to the Y and pedal and doing Zumba and stuff like that on my own, and I found that I don't do well by myself. I do better with structured things, with somebody telling me what to do. So I dropped that, couldn't commit to that, and just started running with a friend. Well, when I was in the process of doing that, my cousin actually said, "Hey, have you ever tried this CrossFit thing that I've heard about?" And she researched and found Spike's when it was first opened up in Laurel, the old box. And I went, me, my cousin, and my friend, we all went, and I stayed. And I just got into it. I enjoyed the lifting weight part of it.
Yeah.
It was good therapy for me, because at that time I also went through a divorce from my oldest's dad, and so then I was single mom and trying to figure life out. Just started teaching, just got out of college, started teaching, trying to figure all that out. So it was a good outlet for me. It was my hour of just getting everything out that I needed to get out through that. And I enjoyed coming in and having the coach there to let me know what I was doing wrong or what I could do better, and the workout was already there.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about it or anything like that. And that's how I met Russell. We became friends, and then that transitioned to more, obviously.
Yeah.
And CrossFit's a big part of our life, so people are always, I get a lot of times, "How do you have time for that? By the time I get home with my kids, I just don't have time." Well, because we made that a big part of our life, our kids know that's something we do. So they know, well, when we get home, we're going to CrossFit. And then when we get home from CrossFit, then we'll do whatever. But that's going to happen 4 to 5 days a week. That's our routine. And if you don't make that time, it's hard to do it.
That's a priority for y'all.
It's got to be, yeah. Our health, I want to keep up with my kids. I want to live as long as I can to see their kids and their kids' kids. And so we got to stay healthy. It's,
Right.
I mean, just got to. But once Russell and I
Go ahead. You're good.
Once Russell and I got married, of course, we continued CrossFit. We moved to Jen's box in Laurel,
Yeah.
just because it was closer. And then I got pregnant with Conrad, and I continued CrossFit. Not so much my first trimester from sickness, but once I got over all that, I started going back a lot more in the second and third trimester, and
Yeah.
I CrossFitted up until the night before I had him.
Yeah. That helps getting into the birthing mode.
Yes, it makes everything amazing. Like my first labor with Grayson, it was horrible.
Ow.
Like it just, the epidural didn't take. It was just horrible. It was a horrible experience. Recovery was horrible. With Conrad, it was super quick, and recovery, I was back at CrossFit 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Of course, they give you 6 weeks that you're not supposed to do anything, but I took it easy. I listened to my body. I don't just go and start using the weights I was using again.
Yeah.
So got back into that after 2 weeks, but then I had a problem with getting all the weight from having Conrad. So that's when right before he turned a year old, I got introduced to a nutrition coach.
Is that Brooke Peel?
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yep, Brooke helped me out a lot. I got back down to my pre-pregnancy weight before Conrad turned a year old through macros, and then it just kept going, and I got as lean as I'd ever been,
Yeah.
and as strong as I'd ever been, and eating more food than I ever had eaten before.
That's
I mean,
nice.
I was eating like almost 300 carbs a day, and
Wow.
you know, people were like, "Oh no, carbs."
Yeah, they do.
But you need it if you're eating the right ones. Your
Right.
body's using that for the fuel to work out. And as much as I was working out at the time, I was using it. And then after I got down to my leanest, I got pregnant again, and we had a miscarriage with that one.
That's
and,
hard.
Yeah, it was.
That's really hard.
It was difficult to go through mentally, because I thought, as healthy as I was, my body had failed me. And in my mind, I just didn't understand what I had done wrong, because I was exercising, I was eating right.
And you're leanest you've ever been.
Right.
You felt great.
Right. Everything was just, A plus. And then that happened. And I know, it wasn't in my control. It wasn't anything I did. I know that now. But
Yeah.
at the time, it was, I have failed. My body failed. So I was, from January to March, I struggled with that a lot. And then, because let's see, we found out Thanksgiving of that year that I was pregnant, and then January I had the miscarriage. But then, was it March or April, I was pregnant with Jovi,
Yeah.
and that brought on lots of new obstacles because I still had miscarriage in the back of my mind. So every little thing I freaked out, and
Yeah.
I was going to the doctor very often because my doctor is great, would let me come and check on things. And I did actually have to take some steroids at the beginning of my pregnancy with her because I did have some things going on that, not necessarily that I would have lost her, but just precautionary things.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was still using Brooke for my
Yeah.
nutrition coach, but I ended up having to slack up because I was gaining too much weight because of the steroids. And by the time I had Jovi, I had put on more weight than I had ever had with the boys. With them, I gained about 40 pounds. With her, I gained 60.
Yeah.
But she was a big baby, granted.
Yeah.
But the steroids definitely helped with that. But I still continued CrossFit throughout her pregnancy, as long as the doctor let me. I did listen, which my doctor is very pro working out as long as I was doing it before. But if he told me, well, maybe you shouldn't do this, I would listen to him just because I still had miscarriage in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But I had Jovi. Labor was good. We had some complications after with she and I both running a fever and having to put on antibiotics for an infection. And they at one point thought that I was going to, what is it called? They thought I was going to bleed out, basically.
Hemorrhage.
Thank you. So they were watching me for that. But we were good. Came out of the hospital, everything was good. And then got back into CrossFit 2 weeks later or maybe it was 3 weeks. I may have took 3 weeks this time, but I can't sit still. So when a doctor tells me, sorry doctors, you need to take some time and rest and, don't go right back. I just can't do that because that's such a big part of us.
Right.
Like when I was having to stay at home, the other half of my family is there and so that's my family time too.
It's lonely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I go back quicker than I probably should from things, but after having Jovi, I'm still trying to get the weight off. That third baby has done it to me, but still counting macros, still eating right. Not so much, I've kind of taken away, not so much a nutrition coach right now. I actually got certified to do coaching, but I haven't done it very much yet because it's just so hard working a full-time job.
Oh, I understand.
And trying to do that. So, and be a mom.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten into that yet, but I'm just trying to do my own thing right now. Dawn actually did a little bit of my nutrition coaching, and I just wasn't taking it as serious as I should have. So I just backed off for a little while. But
what certification did you get?
Through NASM, the sports nutrition.
NASM,
Yeah. It's the sports certified nutritionist or whatever.
Yep.
But
Great
so
program.
One day maybe I'll get into it.
If nothing else, I mean, a lot of people did my course, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, for just learning about themselves, learning about nutrition, and also like if you help your family. So there's nothing wrong with getting a certification. You learn a lot from it, and teaching it, if it's not just to your son or to your daughter, it really helps you cement it into your own habits and lifestyle. And yeah, I mean, learning through that process helped me a lot of things because you look at it from a different perspective. Because as a customer, you see like, okay, this, why are you even asking me this question or that question?
Right.
And that certification really explains it, and you start thinking like a health coach or a nutritionist. And when you do that, that whole thing, I know it's cliche, but what would Jesus do? It's to get you to think like Jesus. And if you think like a teacher, you teach better. If you think like a nutritionist or whatever it may be, like same way. So yeah, it's a great certification. So
yeah, and I try to we try to utilize it in the house with making sure that we try to get the kids to eat what we eat. We're not big on, we're not going to make 1,000 different meals to satisfy everybody. We make one thing, this is what we're going to eat. And Russell and I are both, we're all about a meat and a vegetable.
Yeah.
I always tell him sometimes that vegetable may be a sweet potato or a potato, and I always say I need something green. Quick fix, saute up some spinach.
Right.
Even if I have that sweet potato or whatever, I want something green on my plate to go with it. So we try to incorporate that with the kids as much as possible too, but they're kids.
Yeah, you're right. I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so I'm learning that process right now, and it's challenging.
Yeah. Well, and Grayson is 10. He doesn't want to eat a lot of the things we eat. Which I take fault in that a little bit because when he was smaller, I was a single mom, and it was what's something quick that you can eat that we can just go to bed, because I was doing everything on my own and I was tired, and so it was a lot of quick meals. So I know part of that's my fault, because now he'd rather have like chicken nuggets than roast.
But you do the best you can when you can, and then you adjust and act, and now you're steering the ship in a different way.
Right.
And, there's grace in that. Got to take care of that situation.
Yeah. And then for Conrad, he's 4, so he's in between the whole, do I not like it because my big brother don't like it, or do I eat it because I kind of do like it?
Right.
So we're into the, just take a bite. If you don't like it, you can spit it out. He usually doesn't spit it out. He decides he likes it and he'll eat it. Big thing we have to do with him is we have to pretend like we're going to eat that bite and not look at him, and he'll eat it.
Yep.
And then Jovi, who's almost 2, she eats whatever we put in front of her.
My daughter's the same. That's the same exact situation. I'll start eating my son's food a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, that's mine." He's ready to fight, and then my daughter, she's over there like, "I don't care about y'all. I'm just eating everything. You want your? I'll take it too."
Yeah. That's Grayson was saying last night, why can't I be done? Joby's done, and she's still got food on her plate. I said, because that's her second plate.
Yeah.
She's already eaten one time.
Right.
So, yeah.
So one thing that I want people, especially mothers, because that's really near and dear to my heart on that regard, as a father, as a husband, protecting, and as a health coach as well, I feel like my wife's health is my responsibility in a lot of ways, which I know that's wrong. It's got to be in her own hands.
I'm pretty sure Russell feels the same way.
Yeah. So, but it's just one of those things, like you do one thing, I do another thing, we help each other, so I'm curious to see, like, if just reflecting on it, like, okay, you had Grayson, and then, you were younger, what, probably?
I was 22 when I had him.
22?
I'm 33 now.
So, right at 29, in that transition. So the difference, like, I want people to see not breakdown, but I know Brooke told you about Deep Nutrition, that book. Dr. Catherine, she told me
probably,
okay.
I'm sure.
That book there is real big about, Dr. Catherine is real big on explaining not necessarily degradation, but the epigenetic changes from first child, second child, third child, and the way that changes. Plus, different father there, but nutritionally, it's taxing on a mother to basically create a child from nothing and support that child from birth, and grow all that. So, how do you feel about the replenishment of nutrients and like your energy level? And did you have any hyperemesis or nausea or?
I had nausea with all of them, but it wasn't like, it would be more so at night, or the smell of food was a bad thing for me. But I never got actually sick. And it was always over after the first trimester. And with Grayson, when I was pregnant with him, not being as knowledgeable, I didn't do as well with my eating, so it was like, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat whatever.
Right, yeah.
Pepperoni pizza was my big thing. And Conrad I didn't eat the best with Conrad because the smell of everything just made me feel bad. So with him, I stayed tired all the time because I know I wasn't eating what I probably should have to.
You do the best you can.
Right.
With that first pregnancy she should have been hospitalized.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was puking 10 times a day, and I think the only reason she wasn't hospitalized because she's a nurse, and I guess she felt judged or something. They're just crazy. Nurses are tough and amazing, but they are crazy. So that part there, that was really eye-opening to me, because I was like, you really need to eat this, and she's like, I really can't. I'm gonna throw up on you.
Yeah.
And that was a struggle, but we had to work a lot on her gut health, and to change a lot of her estrogen metabolism. I don't know how deep you got in.
Not super deep. I don't really.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I didn't.
I just
know any of all that stuff.
We had to get in it because the first one was like, I ain't doing that again.
Yeah.
We want another child, but that was bad.
Right. Yeah.
It was like a come to Jesus meeting. Like, we're gonna get pregnant again. You're gonna do some fixing.
Yeah.
Because I gained weight. We couldn't eat. I could cook anything in the house at all. She had a severe meat aversion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so we had to eat whatever. And that's hard to admit. It's hard to, stomach. But it was like starting over with her. We had to start in with a little bit of beans. And that whole process was torture for me. But that's just part of it. But do you feel like, I know you said you're still struggling to get weight off. You look great.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Where do you feel like your struggle? And energy, you said it's?
My energy is better recently because I have just tried to dial in more. I can tell when I'm not given 100% to my nutrition, and that means that we're too tired to cook for the week, so we'll just go grab something, or we come home late and we're just eating whatever. So I know when I have more energy when I dial it in, when I'm making it a point to, we're eating at home. We're not eating out. Or if we do eat out, I'm going to make better choices eating out. Or I won't eat all of it. I'll eat till I'm full and then stop. But my energy has been a lot better in the past month because I have been trying to dial it in so much. Because I don't know. Well, I do know part of why. And I don't know how detailed I need to get, but after having Jovi, I probably wouldn't have, I don't know, I just broke down to Russell one night right before I had to go back to work. It was probably a little bit of postpartum stuff going on, but she was 8 weeks and I was about to go back to work and she was going to go into daycare. And I just broke down to him and told him I don't want her to go and I don't want to go back to work because I just had such anxiety about something was going to happen to her. I didn't want anything to happen to her because I couldn't control what happened in that miscarriage and I'm still holding on to that.
Right.
And if she's away from me, I can't protect her. So I dealt with that for a long time. And then I finally, Pastor James actually preached a sermon one Sunday about mental health and about, if you're struggling with it, you need to see a doctor. Don't be afraid to do that. And I always kind of thought in the back of my mind, it's anxiety. I know it's anxiety. I can just pray and it'll go away. I need to give it to God and it'll go away. But something's just was not leveled out right. So I finally went to my doctor, and there were some other things that triggered that as well. I was just very moody at home and just not myself. And so I went and I did actually get put on some medication. And once I got put on that medication, it did actually, I could see some weight gain. I don't know if it's a side effect or not, but I could see that. But then it's like, am I happy with gaining weight and being okay, or do I want to not be okay and lose weight?
Right.
So it's, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find that happy medium right now. But so I did have to, that's helped tremendously, and everything's been good since. But I've been medicated, I guess, since about March. But I mean, the struggle is real. So,
it is.
Well, no, probably since January. I'm sorry. The struggle is real, and people go through things, and that's what my doctor is, a good Christian man, and he said Christian women are the hardest to medicate because they think they can pray it away and everything's going to be okay, but God gave us medicine and people to give that medicine how it's supposed to be given. So that kind of helped me decide. Between him and Pastor James, I was like, it's time to do something. So.
Yeah. And you did several things moving before you just went and went for medication. It's not your goal, but...
Right. I mean, the end goal is to eventually, come off of that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't want to be on it forever. But right now, this season of my life, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
And, I'm me again, as Russell says. So
that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And that also helps stabilize everything so you can start to, get your mind in a positive manner.
Right.
And you're not swirling the drain some nights and you're moody.
Right.
Because we say we're moody, but you're really stoic about it. You're inside.
Yeah.
You could read your thoughts.
Yeah.
They were, and that's part of postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a woman's head, but I've experienced it as well. And that's, as on Russell's side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's challenging.
Yeah.
It's really the empathy side of it. Like, it don't really affect us dramatically.
It's not being able to know what I need to do to help.
Exactly.
Basically.
That's a great way to say it.
Because that's what he says. I don't know how to help you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I struggled with that for a year before I even actually did anything about it. I recognized it, but I just tried not to. Oh, it's fine. It'll go away.
Right.
But so now I feel like I finally, that's leveled out. I'm myself again. So I'm giving 100% to my health again, to the dialing in my nutrition. The workout stuff, I've got no problem. That's not a problem for me. But I'm getting that nutrition dialed back in. So,
do you feel like I'm hearing something that I'm picking up as I'm doing these interviews and talking to people and talking to, I've talked to psychiatrists yesterday. I talked to, different people, especially people that have been through some things and are dealing with it and growing and learning from. Do you feel like it takes time to really not only heal, but I feel the sense that it takes time to integrate something new, like
Yeah.
medication, or like maybe I need to change my macros after this situation, like adjust. But we live in an instant culture.
Right.
If I can't take a pill today to fix it tomorrow, I don't want it.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Right.
But I wish everybody would hear this and listen and understand, like, hey, it takes time.
It does.
It takes 3 to 6 months to get over the massive change, you know, and men can't even begin to imagine the feeling of, you know, like I see a lot of mothers and I listen to it and I'm real, like, I pay attention. I'm a little nosy about it, honestly. I see it, I'm like, you know, the kid just could be wanting to be back inside of you.
Yeah.
You know, they've been there, but a lot of kids, they go through that a sort of separation anxiety, and they just want to be back inside of you. Like, I'm touched out. Or just sit there. And,
Right.
And I get that too, because sometimes I'm like, man, this is more than I can do. This is
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wish everybody would know it takes time to heal. It takes time to get over it. And it's totally okay to not be right.
Right.
Not be, you know, soaring and not be.
You don't have to be on all the time.
Exactly. You got to have some down days to really appreciate the good days.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with it. Have you thought about a therapist? I know that's a, you know, my wife said that you have to be something wrong with you to go get therapy. But I look at therapy as proactive and, you know, that, I mean, I love medication in that regard. Like, it's almost emergency medicine in a way.
Right.
Like, hey, doc, I'm circling the drain.
Yeah.
Get me something so I can, you know, get back to where then I can go to therapy and
Right.
not.
Yeah, and that may be something that happens down the road.
Right.
I haven't, I mean, I've thought about it, but I haven't ever, like,
Looked into it?
looked into it, yeah. But I do know that if I want to come off of the medication, that might be something that I eventually have to go through with. And I mean, I'm good with that. I mean, when I was little, I saw a counselor when my parents got divorced. So I'm not opposed to that. I just haven't went down that route yet.
I got you. Yeah.
So
that's something that's really amazing, how God lines up people and how he schedules. You think you schedule it. The psychiatrist I talked to yesterday, she was one of my coaching clients. She's moved on from that, and we got onto this thing of like proactive coaching, counseling, and it's more of an optimization than it is healing. But processing trauma, I was traumatized from basically probably in utero. My mother was big on like drugs and bad, and my dad was not sure. You know, I can understand. It's just kind of a rough start, but what you do with something, not how like the hand was dealt to you. But she traumatized me from birth. I mean, we were in and out of very dangerous places, and you know, that was my childhood growing up. Thank God my grandparents saved my life, and you know, as a collective, you know, got me some stability, some, you know, wisdom, some parenting.
yeah,
But I've learned through the years of struggling without a counselor, without a, you know, therapist, and I've seen therapists. I've actually, a lady in this building that I saw, Wendy Soloria, she's incredible.
okay,
And I was able to just talk to her. But processing trauma, you know, it has to be processed a certain way. And miscarriage is traumatic for anybody. And if you don't process it correctly, it does kind of captivate, like, I won't say captivate, but it holds you captive because it's a trigger, and it will control. Like, if you're not careful, it'll take you right back to that moment, and you'll relive it like instantly.
Yep.
And many times that miscarriage probably happened in home or while you were sleeping, or you don't know.
No, I don't know when that part happened. I actually went to the doctor and there was no heartbeat, and they scheduled a DNC because my body was not recognizing that I was miscarrying. So, but Grayson was actually with me at that doctor's appointment in the doctor's office when all that took place. Yeah. But with that, I know for me, like when that happened, I didn't really talk about it to anybody. I just kind of kept it to myself because my mom had never went through that. So nobody really, didn't really have anybody to relate to it. And when I actually did start opening up about it, it's crazy how many women have went through that.
Oh, yeah.
And they're either like me, they think that they shouldn't talk about it,
Yeah.
or they just haven't ever had the opportunity to talk about it.
And it's not something you bring up like, hey, I had a miscarriage.
Right.
You don't talk about it.
Right.
I don't know how to start that
Right,
conversation.
right, yeah.
The first woman, my very first health coaching client, had countless, like, and I say countless because I lost count when she told me.
Oh,
It's like
gosh.
6 or 7, and she ended up having 5 children.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a God thing.
Yeah.
And then the midwife that delivered my daughter at home had, I think she's had more than 1 miscarriage.
Oh, wow.
And like,
I couldn't imagine more than 1.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you process?
Mm-hmm.
How do you move? Like, how do you not scared to death?
Right.
You know, but I guess that just makes you stronger. There's a hormetic response, and
I guess.
it's like exercise in a way.
Yeah. Well, it
But-
also made me decide Jovi was the last one.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand that.
So,
Our postpartum recovery made, I won't go say it's our very last child, but very possible, because that was extremely
Yeah,
traumatic.
yeah.
The birth was great. I mean,
Yeah.
we had it at home. It's 4-hour labor. Everything was great, but the postpartum, due to the complications from the first birth in the hospital and the way that was handled, I mean, I'm not mad at anybody.
Right.
Everybody did the best they could, but that took us on a whirlwind to
Oh,
heal
goodness.
her and to do recovery and therapy.
right.
And mentally, of course, that messed
Yeah.
with her, because
Yeah.
we lost her mom before we had. So she kind of mourned the fact that her mom would never know her daughter. That was a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm amazed at how strong a woman can be after all of that and go on. And I really think people should respect and understand that,
Yeah.
even just birth is extremely traumatic.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there should be like a let's go talk to somebody for just talk about it. Because I
Yeah.
noticed I had to talk about the most traumatic things that happened to me, so that my brain, there's something about talking, there's a lot of research on it, but there's something about talking out the event, the way it happened, how it happened, reorganizes it in your brain as not, this is happening right now,
Right.
versus, if you just, like, you went in that same doctor's office and Grayson was there, certain smells, certain
Yeah.
sound, I mean, you're immediately right
Right.
back there, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then your heart's racing, and you feel like, and then you immediately associate it to the closest resemblance,
Yeah.
in which,
Yeah.
and that's kind of, it's kind of scary a little
It
bit.
is.
But it's interesting, because I think we should be better educated as a society around mental health,
Yeah.
pregnancy, birth, and the process of healing, because I think we should have somebody to talk to
Yeah.
and just talk it through. Not that it was a bad birth or a good birth, but just reorganize that.
Right.
Because there's a lot of hormones, there's a lot of endorphins.
Oh, yeah.
There's moments where I've heard a lot of women say, so everything was like a cloak. I couldn't really see everything, and whenever I started to go through the birth, like 7 centimeters, that dilation, that vomit that happens, all that's traumatic, and
Yeah.
and your mind will protect itself in traumatic situations, but it also shuts itself off from other things. And
I mean, if it didn't, you wouldn't have multiple children.
yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine.
I know.
That's gotta hurt,
Yeah.
And I'm glad it does that. It takes. Or we wouldn't be here, because
Right.
after about one of them, we'd be like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
That's amazing. So what do you feel like moving forward? Do you have to totally change your nutrition? Do you have to adjust it? Because I know you're dialing, you're getting more energy. Are you seeing a drastic change in your body?
Not yet, but it's just more of, I've got to make myself eat those better foods. Like, it's easy with us living in Laurel, it's easy to go to Chick-fil-A or go to Raising Cane's. And having 3 kids,
Yeah.
it's very easy to do that.
You're right.
So it's just, I've got to make myself make food a priority, actually, and I've got to make sure I eat enough, because I have a bad habit of, oh, well, I'm not hungry, I'm just not going to eat. And
That's huge.
I've tried the fasting thing, And fasting doesn't work for me because I get to a point to where I could go all day without eating.
Yeah.
And then I have no energy to do anything.
Right.
Which is the opposite. I know my body has to have carbs to be able to do what I want it to do at CrossFit, or to be able to lift the weight I want to lift at CrossFit. No, good carbs, not donuts and hamburgers, but I know my body has to have that. I know what I have to recover from a workout. I know I need a certain amount of protein to build the muscle I want to build. And you can't get that if you're not eating, if you're not making food a priority. Right. And it's very tedious, and it's aggravating, especially when you have holidays where you're eating at everybody's house. And I have been known to bring my food scale and weigh out my food because I have to make sure I'm eating what I need to eat to be who I need to be.
And somebody may be screaming like it's not that big of a deal, but it is.
Right.
And what's really the big deal is the fact that people don't think that it is a big deal.
Right.
They're just like, oh, it'll be fine. It ain't make a difference. But the people that criticize that or judge that, whatever you want to say, have never really put themselves through a rigorous nutrition plan and exercise
and kept with it.
Yeah, exactly. And being consistent over 9 months, a year, 3 years.
Yeah.
But also, if you do CrossFit and you don't eat right, you're
going to throw up.
Yeah, you're going to exactly. You're going to throw up and you're going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
Hours after, and then you get frustrated because the bar don't move the same.
Or you go, I mean, I've been CrossFitting for 8 years, or you go and you don't do what you're supposed to do, and then you don't see the results you want to see.
And you get frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, you can't even tell I lift whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's humbling though. Yeah. And then it makes you look at yourself in the mirror and go, what am I doing? What am I not doing? What am I doing?
Right.
And I believe that's the greatest thing about exercise and movement is because it humbles you, but it also, it's almost like a mirror. Like it's like, hey, you're the problem, you're the solution. But what you said there was really important. Making it a priority, fighting for it. I think it's deeper than that. I think it's the fact that you care about yourself and it's valuable and it's worth eating right.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a Nazi.
No.
I mean, you may weigh macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
And you may have to, say I eat 2 ounces of macaroni and cheese instead of
a bowl of it.
A bowl of it. Or I don't know. Yeah. And I mean, if you eat the cake, you eat the cake.
Right.
You rock
and that's the thing. Because it's macros, it's 80-20. You're not going to be 100% all the time.
Yeah, it's impossible.
So if I want a piece of cake, I'm going to eat a piece of cake.
Yep.
And I'll either make it fit or I may go over and start over the next day.
Right.
I mean, you can't, if I eat a piece of cake, I can't say, oh, well, I might as well just go eat a cheeseburger now because I've eaten a piece of cake and just call this whole day a cheat day.
Yeah.
And then the next day it'll turn into a cheat day. You have to, it's just one meal and then start over.
At that box, I'm not going to say the person's name, but at Spike's box, we were sitting in a little stand section one day, and she asked me, a girl that was there, she said, do you ever cheat, Tommy? Because I was, at the time, it's kind of a not fair setup there, because at the time I was having to perfect my nutrition because I was managing IBS with nutrition. And that's like walking a tightrope across the Grand Canyon.
I bet, yeah.
And it don't work, by the way. It's impossible. But she said that, and I'm like, at that time, my mindset was like, if I just eat right, everything will be fine.
Right.
And it was. But that's not life. That's not realistic. It did not prepare me for kids. Like, that ain't going to work.
Nope.
Because they're going to shove whatever in your mouth. And, I just looked at her in that moment. And it's funny, but I said, well, do you cheat on your husband? And she was like, it didn't help her, but that's what it really feels like though at the time because no, it's not cheating on your husband, it's different. But if you look at food as cheat versus, strict and morally right, food shouldn't be like that.
No, no.
And if you do cheat and you look at cheat, well then you're a cheater.
Right.
And then you just, I'm a cheater, and then I cheat, and I just keep going.
Yeah.
And I just hide it, and that happens. But if you look at it like people have destroyed the word cheat day.
Yeah.
It's, 80-20 is a way better representation, because if you do eat perfectly, and I can attest to this, you become extremely fragile.
Yeah.
Because your body is not fighting bad food, not fighting a donut, or not fighting, gluten or whatever, dairy or this or that. And I did have a lot of allergies that I'd had to, fix. And that was from eating perfectly, but also from eating crap for so long and then having to eat perfectly. And that's impossible. But I found, though, to attest to what you're saying, the more I dialed my nutrition in, the better I performed, the better I felt, more energy I had, the better I slept. So there's weight to both of them. And there's actually a diet out there called the 90-10. You eat 90% the best quality nutrition you can with 10% of whatever, and it helps you get stronger.
Yeah.
But one thing that you've kind of brought up and is pulling out to me. So there's a philosophy, and I love that you're certified in it. So there's a philosophy out there. There's two: macros and quality. And I know you eat great quality food. I know Russell, and I can see, because there's a thing. And the macros from overview is if it fits, it works.
Right. And
then there's also the quality. You can eat as much or whatever you want, and if it's the best quality food, it'll work out. Both are wrong.
Yeah.
But both are right.
Right.
And if you can't marry them into your bio-individual approach, and one thing I like about your approach, and Brooke, she's right on that, of, our certification taught the same thing, like bio-individuality. Like carbs work extremely well for you. 3 women down, it may not work.
Right.
So you got to find your own individual, what works best for me. Because also the right carbs matter. But people think, keto, and you hear that crap. And it's like, maybe the wrong fat. Like there's actually genetic SNPs that saturated fat can cause some people to have terrible performance. And then there's also some people that have genetic SNPs, the way they digest and utilize, fat, saturated fat, and they do great on it. So you have a bio-individual genetic predisposition to certain ways to eat things, and you got to find it your own way.
Right.
A lot of us is self-discovery. There's new technology of where we test our genetic code, and we have ideas on it. But the tried and true, if it works for me, then it's good, but maybe that don't work.
Right.
And you're aware and you figure that out. And do you feel like, or are you more one way or the other on the quality versus macros, and it fits, or how do you, where's your place on that?
I try to just keep it together because I like food.
Yeah.
Russell and I enjoy food. We enjoy good food.
Yeah.
And if I try to keep if I try to just make it all fit and keep out, not focus on the quality, but just make it fit,
Right.
I'm going to overindulge.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. But if I just eat good quality foods and I don't give a little, it's just going to break me. I'm basically just going to give it all up and eat cake all week.
Yeah.
I'm
the exact same way. I don't have that strict discipline. I have to control, I have to know how much I eat, and I have to listen to my body, and I have to really pay attention. Last week one day I was cramming, taking a test for the Fellowship of Men, and I was trying to figure out, what happened. And I was taking that test, and I was just clicking, and I was just like, that's the right answer, but I'm going to click the wrong one. My brain just quit on me, and I'm like, what's the deal? So I went in, I was like, it's glucose, I'll be fine. 45 minutes, nothing. It ended up being, I didn't have enough protein in that day, and I had to be self-aware of that. Naturally, you think, it's my glucose, but I've never had glucose problems. But I thought that'll help me get me till supper time.
Yeah.
But it ended up being only protein was my problem. I didn't get enough in that day, and it was just, I learned from that episode, and it was because I was self-aware and I had to listen to my body, but be aware. And I think everybody needs to learn self-awareness and just pay attention. I eat this happens. I'm getting a CGM, which is a continuous glucose monitor, and I'm going to document my food and post everything and, show when I eat this, my glucose level does this.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, and I recommend it for everybody because, you never know. You may have an intolerance to, say, macadamia nuts.
Yeah.
and it drive your glucose really high, and you're like, I'm eating perfect, but this is happening. And then you find out like your body don't tolerate that.
Yeah.
And some saturated fat can cause certain people to drive their glucose up. Exercise can, the exposure, stress. So, but it just gives you a metric to measure and compare it to your life, so you can, learn about yourself. Because like sweet potatoes, for some people, it's perfect food.
Yeah.
Others, it's poison.
Wow.
And that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Because sweet potatoes are great. Same way as meat.
Yeah.
But there's vegetarians that they really do better on vegetarian.
Right.
Because, meat makes them feel like crap.
Yeah.
Or maybe the type of meat.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a honing process over time, but that CGM is really, really helpful. And so is genetic testing. And
Yeah.
I'm digging deep into that right now, because that's where my coaching is evolving to, because I helped a lot of people and everybody had great results. I didn't have a bad client situation. They give it their effort, but I just found that the deeper I dig, the more accurate I can be with it on my own.
Right.
Because it was on my own experience. Because I didn't know anybody in the area that actually did that type of stuff. And the more I tested and was honing in and being an expert on myself, and I recommend everybody to stop learning all these keto or paleo.
Yeah.
Or just learn what works best for you.
Yep.
And cut the crap. I mean, you can learn a lot by getting rid of bad quality stuff and get good quality.
That's right.
Find out what macros work for you. Find out how much protein, carbs, fat, which ones, the quality of them work best for you. Find variety. Keep testing things, because that's just culturally the best way to be. But being an expert on yourself, and you obviously have done that, which works for you, and it shows you. But there's always ways to dig deeper. I really recommend. I don't like 23andMe because of the whole government thing.
Well, see, we did that. I may have been pregnant with Jovi when we did that.
Yeah.
At the time, Brooke had suggested to get more information,
Right.
and I can't even remember what all was on there.
Yeah.
But we do have the results of that.
I've had to dig. I learned MTHFR. I had issues with it. My wife as well. And that, helped us parent for going forward. But it helped us with methylation, and that was a big one. But it was just scratching the surface. I found you can really dig in and, help your system a lot by making some small tweaks in your nutrition and lifestyle and things like that. And like food timing or how you process certain foods and what you may need more of or the other. And I'm learning a lot about it, but I really wish everybody would test. Strategene seems to be a better one. I did 23andMe too, because I didn't know. I was just curious, and it did help me.
Right.
And you can plug those same data into Strategene. Dr. Ben Lynch is the guy for that. Really good doctor. He's got great information, and he's got something called Dirty Genes, and that he wrote a book. It's a great book. But the point of it is to learn about yourself and to see your genetic expression, and then to see what you need to give your body. Like if some people have like a vitamin D deficiency of like getting it from the sun to their body, and they need to supplement.
Right.
Or glutathione, they don't produce enough naturally, and they need to supplement.
Yep.
And that right there would help everybody, because the one thing that I see as a health coach, but in the environment of it, is this is the new health, this is a new diet, it works great, and it's like you're missing it.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Stop chasing the new fad. Like, find out.
Because it will work great for the time that you do it, but then when you get tired of it and stop,
that's a big thing.
Now what?
Exactly. And also, it will work great for a short period of time in the way of what you just said, but it may not work as good as it could have.
Right.
Because you didn't stick with it long enough, or it may not fit exactly for you. You may need to do a different version of that exact same thing longer, and start to hone in and use bits and pieces. Because like with my wife, and she said at one time, I don't know what we are, because people identify with this diet or that. Are we paleo? Are we keto? Are we? I said, there's about 100 different diets that we mixed.
Yeah.
And plucked the best out of.
Yeah.
And just, we made it our lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's the new diet that everybody needs to get on and hone in. And one thing I want to ask you moving forward, I don't know if you're interested, but how do you feel about testing your gut health and seeing you know, how that changed everything, because I know, especially with my wife, we had to really change our gut health and work on, you know, building the gut lining and getting the right probiotics there, and processing different things. Like there's some enzymes that through pregnancy, it taxes the your microbiome in a way that can put your gut, you process things poorly or inefficiently because you don't have the right bacteria or the right amounts or the right balance. Even the great nutrition you're eating doesn't get, you know, broken down, absorbed, and utilized correctly. So
I've never even known that you could do that, like have all those tests done for that. I think that would be something great to even, I think I want to try that, see what's going on. I mean, I try to, you know, I take a probiotic, but it may not even be the right one that I need to be taking.
Right.
I just take one because I'm like, oh, hey, I need to take a probiotic. But
It's
that's
good,
something
though.
that's something that I think is a great thing that should be done, and I have to look into where to go to do that.
I can send you some resources. So I recommend stool testing at least once a year. Genetic test is a one-time thing. You have the data. They just sequence your genome, and you just have the data, and you can use it and kind of learn more about your SNPs and so on and so forth. But stool testing, blood work, you can do a complete panel, metabolic, and everything. I learned so much from the Genova 3-day test, and that is a take-home test.
Okay.
The Dutch hormone panel, that's a great test. It's take-home as well. But you just get your blood work. Some people like to do it twice a year. I like at least 1 year because I think, you know, you can do it every 30 days and see results.
Right.
And see changes. But it depends on how aggressive or what program you're on, what doctors and what they're doing. And it does take 4 to 6 weeks to see changes because you change your setup. But yeah, the Genova test is, I mean, it really was the fundamental change, because see, I tried everything natural you could, and diflucan, which is an antifungal. I had an overgrowth of candida, and you know, I've been given diflucan, and I'd feel better for a couple of days and be way worse than before. But I never tested what was in there, what was going on, and had a plan based off of that. And I'm gonna do it again and again and again, because I believe in, like, I'm healthy, I'm the best health I've ever been, but where can I optimize? Where can I build my system stronger? Because there's more stress coming.
Right.
I mean, there's going to be something else is going to happen, and the better, the stronger the microbiome is, better your body is, the strength of it. It can handle those hits, and they don't knock us down into depression or so on and so forth.
Right.
So yeah, I'll show you all the stuff and where to test, and I can recommend someone you could go through that on. And I mean, I think you can test yourself, but you can even test your children and see, like, give them different insights. And you know, probiotics are great orally because it's great genetic code going to it, but you're never gonna like seed a gut based off of oral because nothing survives the stomach acid. There's some out there that might, but usually no. Yeah. You know, fermented foods, fermented drinks, those help because it's genetic codes and it stimulates the good there. But I didn't have any good because of so many antibiotics and steroids, and it just destroyed it. And you know, the steroids, they helped you and they helped you build muscle, but they also had a bad deterrent effect. Yeah. And that right there. It's healable, but it has to be tested and direct action. Right. And most doctors don't get into that because it's really time consuming. It's really challenging, and a lot of that's not taught in medical school. You have to. I had to self-discover a lot of it. But yeah, I really recommend everybody, even if you're not sick or not putting on weight or whatever. If you can head something off, you know, you can see it before it happens. That it's easier to manage things because, you know, we as a country, we don't have the greatest health. No. We got the greatest health care,
but not the greatest health.
Not the greatest health.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer. I normally try to keep these at an hour, but you have anything else you want to share? No? Okay. Well,
not that I can think of.
I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Sharing your information and sharing your story, it's really cool to see, you know, what your experience is with it and how to learn. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.